Okay, so we're diving in deep today into a single story.
A deep dive.
Yeah, a deep dive into a single story. And this is not just like any story. This is a story that comes from Rabbi Nachman of Breslov uh, from the night of the 4th of Elul 5566, which put us in like the early 19th
It's
century.
early 19th century.
And these stories are fascinating because they're not just stories, right? They're
Yeah.
packed with like deeper teachings.
Yeah,
It's not-
absolutely.
uh,
That's precisely what makes them so compelling for the learner,
Yeah.
who's always looking to sort of peel back those layers and find the underlying principles in the narrative.
Exactly.
So I think this deep dive has the potential to be very insightful.
Yeah, because at its core, this story seems to be grappling with the question of, can someone truly be free from worry,
Mm-hmm.
even when like facing some serious challenges in life?
Yeah,
So let's dive right in.
let's do it.
So this story, it begins with a king who's doing some serious soul searching.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's a king. He's at the pinnacle of power. He's surrounded by wealth, and it kind of leads him to think like, is it possible that anyone in his kingdom has fewer anxieties than he does?
Mm,
Right. And it's such a human question, right? Like this search for like contentment.
absolutely.
But instead of just like sitting around in his, royal chambers thinking about this king actually takes a very unusual approach.
Interesting.
So he decides to like go out among his subjects at night under the cover of darkness and listen in on their lives.
Wow.
Like imagine that, right? He's like lurking outside houses trying to like get a sense of what their anxieties are, what their hopes and fears are.
Really getting down to the grassroots.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So what does he discover through this like clandestine eavesdropping mission?
So it turns out his kingdom is full of worries, just like you might expect. People are concerned about their livelihoods, their businesses, whether they need royal assistance, just the everyday anxieties of life. And this really highlights how worry is something that cuts across all levels of society.
Right. Doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what your social status is like. There's always going to be something to worry about.
Yeah, it's kind of a universal human experience.
Yeah. But then comes a really interesting twist in the story.
Mhm.
The king comes across this very humble dwelling.
Humble.
Yeah. It's described as being almost like sunken into the earth. It's run down, and it has these tiny windows, barely above ground level.
Okay.
And through one of these little windows, he peers inside,
Mm.
and he sees a man playing a violin.
A musician.
Yeah. But it's not just any kind of playing. The story emphasizes that he's playing very delicately, with great skill and subtlety.
Mm.
It's not like loud or boisterous music.
Right.
The king even has to like listen really carefully to hear it.
So it's almost like a private performance.
Yeah. And here's the really striking part. This musician is like filled with joy.
Ah.
He has a simple drink described as like wine in a pot, some food laid out, and he just like radiates happiness.
Wow.
It's genuine. It's untroubled.
That's so interesting. The powerful king, surrounded by wealth, finds worry everywhere, while this seemingly poor musician embodies contentment.
Right. It's like this huge contrast.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, what is his secret?
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
So, of course, the king is intrigued. He can't resist. He has to go in and talk to this guy.
Makes sense.
And it's not just like a fleeting moment of happiness for the musician either.
Oh.
He welcomes the king into his humble home, shares his simple drink with him, offers a toast to the king's well-being.
Wow, that's really generous.
Yeah, and the king ends up staying the night, and he witnesses firsthand that this is not an act.
Okay.
This joy that the musician has, it seems to be like his constant state.
Mm-hmm.
It's unaffected by any apparent hardships.
Fascinating. So the king is even more curious now.
Yeah.
He has to know the secret.
So the next morning, the king finally asks him, point blank,
Yeah.
how do you sustain yourself? What is the source of your livelihood?
What a great question.
And the musician's answer is actually really simple.
Okay, I'm curious.
He explains that he has a skill for fixing things that are broken.
He's a handyman.
Yeah, he's not like a master craftsman or anything, but he can mend things that are damaged.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes out each morning, finds things to repair, earns about 5 or 6 gold coins,
Okay.
and that's enough to buy his food and his drink, and that's all he needs.
So he's content with the basics.
Yeah, and it's this focus on just like the present moment, on meeting his daily needs and finding joy in the simple things without any like grand ambitions or worries about the future, that really sets him apart.
It's like he's found a way to live without the anxieties that grip everyone else.
Exactly, including the king.
Right.
And this is where the story takes another turn,
Okay,
because the king gets an idea.
Uh-oh.
He decides to issue a royal decree.
Like a decree.
Yeah, and this decree forbids anyone in the kingdom from hiring repairmen.
What?
But-
So he's essentially cutting off the musician's livelihood.
Yeah, people are now forced to either fix things themselves or just buy new ones.
And why would he do that?
Well, it seems like he wants to see what will happen to the musician's joy if he takes away his ability to make a living.
That's interesting. From a Kabbalistic perspective, this action could be seen as an attempt to control external circumstances in pursuit of inner peace, which often leads to greater imbalance rather than resolving it.
Yeah, so the next morning, the musician goes out as usual looking for work, and he's met with this news.
Oh.
His means of earning a living has been completely eliminated overnight by royal decree.
That's rough.
And the story tells us that this was, bad in his eyes.
Yeah,
He was definitely concerned.
understandably so.
But here's a key point. It also notes that he trusted in God.
Oh.
This is like our first real indication that there's something deeper going on here.
Yeah.
This bidashon in Hebrew is a core principle in Kabbalah,
Okay.
and it represents a deep reliance on a higher power.
It's about recognizing that even when things seem bleak, there's a greater force at work.
Exactly. So instead of falling into despair, the musician shows this amazing ability to adapt.
Right.
Yeah, he sees this wealthy man struggling to chop wood, and he asks him why he's doing it himself. And the man explains that he couldn't find anyone to hire.
Oh, because of the decree.
Exactly. So the musician immediately offers his services.
Wow.
He chops wood, earns a gold coin, and he realizes, hey, this could be my new way to make a living.
So he pivots.
Yeah, and he keeps at it until he has 6 coins, enough for his food and his drink, and he recreates his usual, little feast.
That's incredible. He doesn't let the setback define him.
No, and the narrator at this point interjects with this wonderful exclamation in Yiddish.
Oh, I love this part.
A classic glass,
Yeah.
which means, and the meal, a meal indeed.
It's such a powerful line.
Yeah, it emphasizes that even though he's earning his living in a completely different way now,
Right.
the quality of his joy, the depth of his contentment remains the same.
It speaks to the Kabbalistic idea that true joy, simcha, isn't dependent on external factors.
Yeah, it's an inner state of being. So the king, of course, he goes back to check on the musician.
Oh, he can't help himself.
No, he's got to see if his plan worked.
Right.
And what does he find?
I bet he's surprised.
The musician is exactly as he was before, enjoying his simple meal with clear contentment.
He's unfazed.
Totally unfazed. And you can imagine the king is perplexed by this, maybe even a little frustrated.
Yeah. His attempt to disrupt the musician's peace has backfired.
So what does he do?
I'm guessing he doesn't give up.
Nope, he doubles down.
Oh, boy.
He issues a second royal decree,
Another one.
this time forbidding anyone from hiring people to chop wood.
He's really determined to shake this guy's foundation.
It seems so now the musician faces another obstacle.
Right. His new livelihood is gone.
Yeah, he goes out looking for wood to chop, and he finds out about the new decree. And again, the story mentions his concern.
Yeah.
How am I going to make a living now? But he doesn't despair.
That's the key.
Yeah, his initial worry turns into resourcefulness.
I'm sensing a pattern here.
Yeah, he sees a man cleaning his stable and asks why he's doing it himself.
And I bet the answer is,
The same as before, he couldn't find anyone to hire.
of course.
So the musician immediately offers to clean the stable, earns 2 gold coins, and guess what?
He keeps going until he has enough for his meal.
You got it.
And I bet the narrator chimes in again.
Oh, yeah, and the
I
meal.
do it.
And a meal, indeed. It's like a refrain in this story.
Yeah, his resilience, his ability to find joy, even in the most unexpected places, it just keeps shining through.
It really highlights the point that true contentment isn't tied to specific circumstances.
So the king pays another visit.
What does he see this time?
The same scene of contentment.
Of course.
The musician is happy. He's enjoying his life.
Unbelievable.
And at this point, the king is maybe getting a little desperate.
Maybe a little.
So he issues a third decree.
Oh, no. What now?
No stable cleaning for hire.
He's systematically trying to eliminate every possible way for the musician to earn a living.
It really seems that way. It's like he's testing the limits of the musician's resilience.
Yeah, but even this doesn't break the musician's spirit.
So what does he do?
He adapts again.
He always adapts.
This time he enlists as a temporary mercenary in the army of the chief of staff.
A mercenary.
Yeah, it's a temporary thing.
Okay.
So he negotiates a daily wage, gets the royal garments, and a sword does his guard duty. And as soon as his shift is over, he takes off the uniform, uses his earnings to buy his food.
So he goes from fixing broken things to being a soldier, And still maintains his inner peace.
Yeah, it's like his inner state is completely independent of his external circumstances.
That's true freedom.
And of course, the king goes back to check on him. Same thing.
Contentment.
Total contentment.
Yeah.
The musician is unfazed by all of this.
It's remarkable.
So now the king decides to intervene directly.
Okay. How so?
He tells the chief of staff to withhold the musician's pay for the day.
He's getting personal now.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to hit him where it hurts.
This is a direct attack on his ability to meet his basic needs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a real test of his faith.
So what happens?
So the musician finishes his work, goes to collect his wages, and he's refused.
Oh.
The chief of staff tells him it's a direct order from the king.
That's harsh.
It is. But here's where we see the musician's ingenuity really shine.
Okay.
He breaks the metal blade off his sword.
What? Yeah. How does he do that?
Well, he replaces it with a piece of wood.
So it looks normal.
Exactly. And then he pawns the metal blade to get money for his food.
Wow, that's clever.
And he even plans to redeem it with his wages the next day and repair the sword.
So he's not just surviving, he's thinking ahead.
Yeah, he even says, I can repair anything broken.
It's like this setback has sparked his creativity.
Yeah, he doesn't see it as a crisis. He sees it as a problem to solve.
And that's a powerful mindset.
And the king's fifth visit confirms the same thing.
Unwavering joy.
Exactly. He just can't shake this guy's inner peace.
The king is witnessing something he can't comprehend.
Yeah, he's encountering someone whose happiness isn't based on external things.
It's a profound lesson.
So the king decides on one final test.
One last attempt.
And this one is the most serious of all.
Okay.
He orders the chief of staff to have the musician execute a prisoner.
Execute a prisoner.
Yeah, who's been condemned to death.
Wow, this is a huge escalation.
Yeah, and he gathers all his ministers to witness this.
He's expecting the musician to fail.
Yeah, he thinks the musician's useless wooden sword will be revealed and he'll be exposed.
It's no longer about disrupting his livelihood. It's about putting him in an impossible situation.
Exactly, a situation where he's forced to do something he clearly doesn't want to do.
So how does the musician respond?
Well, first he tries to appeal to the king.
He pleads with him.
Yeah, he expresses his deep reluctance to shed blood, especially if there's any doubt about the prisoner's guilt.
So he's not just blindly obeying orders.
No, he's standing up for what he believes in.
That's courageous.
And he says he's never taken a life before, and he doesn't want to start now, particularly if it's not absolutely necessary.
This is a powerful display of compassion.
Yeah, it's cheese loving kindness in action.
It's the opposite of the king's approach.
Right, but the king is unmoved. He insists that the execution must go forward.
So the musician is trapped.
Yeah, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place.
What does he do?
He turns to God.
He prays.
Yeah, in this moment of desperation, but also deep faith, he prays for a miracle.
A miracle.
He asks God that if the condemned man is innocent, the metal blade of his sword should turn into wood.
Wow, that's a bold request.
It is. It's an incredible act of Bidashan.
Trusting completely in a higher power.
Yeah, so he draws his sword to carry out the king's order, and the blade is made of wood.
What?
The whole crowd is astonished. Everyone starts laughing. It's like this release of tension.
It's a miracle.
Yeah. And the king, witnessing this, he releases the musician unharmed.
Wow. What a powerful ending.
It is the king's attempts to break the musician's inner peace.
They all fail.
And in the process, he reveals his own flawed understanding of happiness.
Exactly. So what can we learn for this story? Well, I think the connections to Kabbalah are pretty clear.
Yeah.
The musician's journey is a beautiful illustration of Bidashan.
That unwavering trust in God.
Right. It's not passive, it's active.
Yeah.
It empowers him to face challenges with resourcefulness and certainty that he'll find a way through.
And his compassion for the prisoner.
Yes, that's a key element, too. It's a reflection of cheesed loving kindness.
Yeah, his empathy, his unwillingness to inflict harm. It's a core part of who he is.
And throughout it all, he maintains his joy, his simcha.
Yeah, even when his world is turned upside down.
That's the Kabbalistic understanding of true joy.
It's not dependent on external circumstances.
Exactly. It's an inner state.
And his profession repairing broken things.
That's interesting, too. It connects to the idea of tikkun olam, repairing the world.
Yeah, even though he's just fixing physical objects, it reflects this larger cosmic idea of restoring harmony.
It's a beautiful metaphor.
And the king's journey.
He starts off with this very materialistic view of happiness.
Yeah.
And he learns that true contentment comes from within.
From cultivating inner strength and faith.
Right.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the key takeaways for the learner?
I think this story teaches us about the power of unwavering faith, the enduring nature of inner joy, the importance of compassion, and even the idea of repairing the world through our actions.
Yeah, it's a reminder that true happiness isn't about what we have, but who we are.
And that even in the face of adversity, we can choose to respond with resilience and trust.
It's a powerful message.
Definitely one worth reflecting on.
So, the learner, how can you cultivate that same deep-seated trust and inner peace in your own life?
How can you face your challenges with the same resilience and faith as the musician?
It's a question worth pondering.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure. We'll see you next time.
Until then.